there, friends. Today I want to share a poem I wrote entitled Daughter, as well as some of my thoughts about the poem. First, I'll recite the poem for you. He called me daughter, the childless rabbi. Yes, the one they still speak of. I lived east of the sea then. He is passing through, they called in the village. So I rose from my pallet. No time for cleansing. No time for changing the soiled tunic. I fell into the flow of seekers. I brushed against the last doctor to visit me, the one who took everything but my pain. I hung my head for shame. Ah, to think of it now, there was no reason a woman 12 years stained should hope. No reason to find him. But there were stories. Lepers and blind men, widows and mothers. If only I could touch his robe. What madness! When I felt the flow of blood stop, I pushed against the crowd to run away. But he called. Who touched me? I fell down, and he knelt beside me. Daughter, get up, keep faith, and live healed. This is how I came to make my home in Capernaum. This is how I came to be your mother. This story, commonly entitled The Bleeding Woman, comes from the Gospel according to Mark and tells the story of a woman who has been bleeding for 12 years until she dares to seek the help of a radical traveling rabbi. This story has been used over many, many years to tell people who are sick and struggling that they are sick and struggling because they don't have enough faith. And that is painful. While I have read this story many, many times, it wasn't until I began to properly grieve my own long-term pain and undiagnosed illness that I found a new story, a truer story within these words. To be an ill woman in the barbaric patriarchy of the first century would have meant that this woman would not even have been able to enter town or go to temple. She would not have been married, she would not have had children, and she would have no economic standing. She would have been isolated, as even those who would come to help her would be considered unclean just by being near her. And this woman had done everything she could in order to heal. For 12 years, she sought treatment, paying doctors what little she could. And still she was left no better. Rather, she was left worse off, impoverished, dismissed, and in more physical pain. How many of us who experience chronic pain can sympathize with this woman. We dare to book appointments and show up in good faith, hoping that this will be the physician. This will be the prescription or supplement. This will be the diagnostic scan that gets to the root problem. That if we just follow this protocol to the letter, we'll feel better. That if we just walk through this threshold, we'll finally be free. And then we aren't free, and we aren't healed, and we still receive the bills. We are still in pain. We still carry our illness. We still feel diminished in our dignity, not only by unhelpful practitioners and the illness itself, but possibly even by those we thought we could trust. As months turn into years and years turn into decades, we begin to define ourselves by our illness. We lose hope. We lose sight of that light within us. Imagine if we got word of a compassionate healer. Would we dare to approach? Would we dare hold on to hope? This is perhaps the thing I love most about this story. Even after all she had been through, this woman still entered the crowd. She disregarded cleansing rituals. She elbowed her way to the compassionate one. She still believed she was worthy and capable of healing. And so she reaches for the tassels of his cloak, careful not to touch him and make him unclean, as the religious rules of the time demanded. I think she hoped to go unnoticed, hoped that this light touch would be enough. But then the rabbi calls out, "Who touched me?" So attuned to the suffering ones, so laser focused on the outcasts. This teacher, who was being pushed and crowded on all sides, still felt the halting touch of this woman. She had already sensed the change in her body and was content to quietly go home, but the crowd outed her. When she stumbled and fell before him, he knelt with her, and he turned her downward gaze to his eyes. She didn't dare speak, so he spoke. And the story goes that he called her daughter, the childless rabbi. How long had it been since anyone had called her anything tender, especially a term of such care and compassion? Then he invited her to rise up and to keep walking in the same dignity, the same faith that had brought her to his side in that very moment. I think the thing I love the most about this story, the thing that brings me back again and again, the thing that invited me to even write this poem, is that this story isn't ultimately about her bleeding stopping. This woman's healing takes place when she is seen and honored as a whole person, and when she believes in her own dignity and value and worthiness. when she believes that she belongs, that she is more than her illness or uncleanness, there is a deep, deep healing that occurs. Friends, for some of us, there may be no cure. To see ourselves as healed may feel impossible. There may be good days, there may be remission, but there may also be symptoms and conditions that we always coexist and contend with. Stories old and new about miraculous healings may leave us feeling hurt, sad, angry, and left out. While this is ultimately a story about a woman who experiences a supernatural healing, it is also a story of dignity, of lived compassion, and of keeping faith with ourselves when we live with ongoing pain. In my own healing journey, cultivating and harvesting trust in my body, in my mind, and in my spirit has become my miracle. Friends, if you are facing health or healing challenges, I sincerely hope this video, this poem, and this story comfort you and bring you some light. I hope that you know you are more than any illness. I hope you know your inherent dignity, which no pain and no person can take away from you. I hope you are supported with the care and compassion that you deserve. And I hope you feel safe and held as you carry on. I honor your journey and wish you peace, friends. Take good care, and I'll see you soon.